What would a manga look like if you combined shonen and sports? Well, the answer you're looking for is Bluelock. 1, it has some of the most dramatic dialogue you'll ever hear in your life. This is a manga about football, yet they're screaming at people that they'll murder them. 2, characters legit name their attacks. Like, bro, imagine Messi and Ronaldo doing this when they're about to shoot. And 3, the characters have dojutsu. This sounds like I'm taking the piss, but I'm completely serious. I mean, look at all this. So, needless to say, it's extremely unrealistic, but what if I told you this is why it works? The manga is purposely overdramatic. It goes balls to the wall insane, yet despite this, it still keeps the elements of actual football in there. Football is like the only sport I've actually played and watched my entire life. My 2 favourite things in life are football and shonen manga, so what's not to love? At the beginning, Isagi looks like a pretty typical main character, but when he gets fired up, yeah, he'll roast you into the ground and make you never want to play anything ever again. The more the manga progresses, the more insane this guy gets. I brought up the whole him threatening to murder someone, but that's just another day at the office for Isagi. This guy ain't humble. He legit calls himself God and thinks he's above everyone else. When Ippo from Hajime no Ippo gets fired up, he just gets more confident and wants to win, but Isagi just wants to crush everyone in his path. Not to diss Ippo, by the way. I actually love him too, but for very different reasons. Honestly, it's a nice shift of pace. Don't get me wrong, he is a nice person, I think. But when he switches in game, his true personality shows. And on another note, I personally love fast-paced manga. I love the Soul Society arc in Bleach, and a big reason for that was the fast pacing. When I see a page like this, yeah, I'm already asleep, bruv. Anyway, as I said, it still keeps the elements of football from real life. It makes a lot of sense. The author clearly puts a lot of thought into that side of things. Even with the recent chapters, Barou is one of the most selfish players, but even he can't just run past everyone. And Isagi has a huge ego, but he still uses his teammates in his plans to win. In real life, how many times have you seen a player try and run past everyone and just lose the ball?
Sterling, he's on side. Pass it to him. Don't dive.
Look at Messi, possibly the greatest player to ever live, and his most impressive attribute other than his dribbling is his vision like Isagi. The whole point of Bluelock is being the protagonist in your own story. You all need to see the world they play in as a manga, simple as that, so all the shonen-like powers are there to parallel this. The most ridiculous plays are actually detrimental to players. Nagi's mad goal and solo run could potentially ruin his career. In real life, when a player is called the next Ronaldo or the next Messi, they fizzle out into obscurity almost every single time. This is because of 2 reasons. Number 1, the expectations crush them and they underperform, especially with social media. Bojan is who comes to mind for me personally. He was called the next Messi and... who? Yeah, exactly. Number 2, they get so arrogant they don't want to play as a team player, and no one wants to sign them. This kind of happened with Martin Ødegaard. He was praised for being one of the most talented players of his generation, but then just stopped showing up for training, due to believing he was better than the reserves at Real Madrid. Luckily, it seems as though he's matured from this, but it is a genuine issue for players. Now, I could go on and on about the realistic elements in Bluelock, but this video is primarily here to entice you guys to actually read the manga, because it's just getting better and better. For the people saying,
oh my god, it's so unrealistic, this show is way better because it's more realistic.
Shut your stupid.
It isn't trying to be the most realistic. Like, look at it. They're playing football with monsters and the Sharingan. If you prefer realism, that's fine, but that also means you don't like 95% of manga. Look at Kuroko no Basket. That shit pretty much has Super Saiyan mode, so don't come at Bluelock. If you don't particularly like football, that doesn't matter, because you'll still enjoy all the other elements of the manga. Like, the shonen aspects are really fun to watch. But if you do watch football, you'll get a deeper understanding and another level of enjoyment. And it actually breaks tropes too. In the first episode, it shows that teamwork gets you punished a lot of the time. If you're not selfish, you won't win or become anything. Think of all the manga out there that are all about friendship and teamwork. Bluelock is definitely not that. It's more about using your team than actually playing alongside them. Kira from chapter 1 is the perfect example, and Ego directly calls him out on it, saying that believing naive stuff is what makes Japan lose at every World Cup. Isagi ends his career completely, and we never see him again despite him being the most talented in the room. Instead of getting all sad and having a chat with Isagi debating whether this was the right thing to do, he says he feels amazing about it, and this continues throughout the manga. At first, he actually tries to blame Kira's elimination on Bachira and tries to distract himself from feeling so good about the elimination. But as the story progresses, it becomes a lot more selfish and straight up enjoys people being in despair. I mean, look at Barou. He never becomes part of a team. The second you think he is, he spits in your face and becomes more selfish than ever. In Bluelock, winning is everything, not as a team, but winning yourself. All the characters have different egos and stories they want to have. Isagi's goal as a protagonist is to crush these people and become the best striker in the world. His character character development is not becoming a better person, but becoming who he truly is. Bluelock didn't turn him egotistical, he already was. In chapter 1, he joined Bluelock to be his true self, which others judged him for. That is why he is Bluelock's ace. The monster inside him that Bachira senses is this hidden personality. The more he develops, the more he just becomes this monster, which is what Bachira does, and he becomes a pro-level player as soon as he does this. So this manga is a true blessing, and the anime adaptation is fantastic. All of this is why it's one of my favorites right now, so go read it.